The National Electoral Council of Venezuela will proclaim in an official act the deputies elected in the parliamentary elections of December the 6th. In Argentina, the Chamber of Deputies of the nation gave half a sanction to the project of regulation of the access to the voluntary interruption of the pregnancy and to the post-abortion care. And this Friday, China's foreign ministry strongly criticized the U.S. abuse of national security to repress Chinese enterprises without evidence. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. The National Electoral Council of Venezuela will proclaim in an official act the deputies elected in the parliamentary elections of December 6. The event takes place from 10 a.m. local time at the institutional headquarters of the organization in each state of the country. The maximum electoral body will officially declare the election of 274 deputies who will legislate from the parliament since the Congress of January for the new legislative cycle 2021-2026. In that sense, the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, which reached the majority of the seats in the new legislative structure, will occupy 253 seats. Meanwhile, the National Election Council of Venezuela has carried out the Phase 2 civil verification audit process. This occurs after the phases of law on the claim, challenges and modifications within the framework of the laws have been fulfilled and audited. The electoral roll of the National Assembly 2020 was made up of a total of 20,710,421 voters. And the Caravan of Honduras refugees arrived in Ocotepeque, a department of the border with Guatemala, to continue its journey to the United States. On Wednesday night, Honduran citizens left from the city of San Pedro Sula, one of the most devastated areas after the passing of hurricanes Iota and Ida, with the intention of reaching the United States in search of a better future. This Friday morning, they advanced through the mountainous area to reach the Guatemalan border through back ways due to the blockade maintained by the authorities in Santa Fe, Ocotepeque. Hurricanes Iota and Ida killed more than 90 dead in Honduras and affected more than 2 million people. And after more than 20 hours of debate, the Chamber of Deputies of Argentina gave half a sanction to the project of regulation of the access to the voluntary interruption of the pregnancy and to the post-abortion care. During a special session, the bill legalizing abortion and protecting the rights of pregnant women received some 131 votes in favor and 117 against. The debate was marked by the presence of thousands of people gathered outside the Congress. The bill was sent by the executive branch, and among other points, it contemplates that women have the right to have an abortion until the 14th week of gestational process. It is expected that next week the bill will be discussed in the Argentine Senate, where it will become law. We are changing an ineffective strategy for one that has shown to be effective, the health approach. Those who oppose legal abortion continue to oppose comprehensive, secular and scientific sex education, who do not want more women in prison or criminalized but oppose decriminalization. Those who oppose talc or contraception but oppose the obstetrics law to increase access to contraceptives and do not ensure minimum access to sexual and reproductive rights in their provinces. And pro-choice activists in Argentina celebrated Friday after lawmakers approved a bill that could lead to the legalization of abortion.
From the National Campaign for the Right to Abortion, we have been fighting for this fundamental human right for 15 years, for which we feel a deep joy and emotion. We held a vigil for 21 hours outside Congress and in more than 40 places around the country taking to the streets once again so that the lawmakers knew that they had to decide as the people had already decided. And of course, now we have to insist that the Senate immediately takes the same path and finally settles this historical debt that democracy has with us. We didn't agree with the inclusion in the bill of conscientious objection clause, and in fact we believe that this only serves to block abortion in some places where this resource will be used. But hey, we're going to continue fighting with the activists to guarantee that in those places also have those who guarantee abortion rights.
On Thursday, President of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, announced a process of exchange unification that will govern in the Caribbean island as of January 1st, 2021. The Cuban president also announced that the exchange rate will be 24 Cuban pesos to the dollar.
We proceed to release an important information to our village announces for today's night. It has been decided by the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba to inform our people of the beginning of the task of ordering the name given to the process of monetary and exchange unification, and to the rest of the necessary transformation that accompanied.
And also we are going to have an approach to Brazil and its development with the vaccine and also the COVID-19.
Brazil has the world's second highest number of COVID-19 cases. This week, materials for manufacturing 1 million doses of the CoronaVac vaccine arrived in Guarulhos airport as part of a technology transfer deal between the São Paulo state government's Butantan Institute and the Chinese company Sinovac.
This vaccine is derived from SARS vaccine. It was created in 2003. In this case, there was an adaptation made to substitute the SARS virus with the new coronavirus.
São Paulo Governor João Doria announced that the public health system will start administering the vaccine to the population in January, but his former ally turned enemy, President Jair Bolsonaro, is doing everything he can to hinder the process and spread misinformation about COVID-19.
There still needs to be a serious study on the effectiveness of masks, explaining if they protect 100%, 80, 70, 10, 4 or 1%. This study will come out sometime.
11 former national health ministers issued a manifesto this week called Vaccines Now, accusing the federal government of failing to develop a coherent plan. And a coalition of unions and social movements called the National Health Council has announced a national day of protest.
We have started a campaign called Vaccines for Everyone, and our protest on the 15th will strengthen this campaign.
Meanwhile, the daily death toll is rising again as Brazil begins to experience a second wave of the virus. Brian Mir, TeleSUR, São Paulo.
And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The second and third phase clinical trials of the COVID-19 vaccine prototype developed by the Australian biotech company CSL and the University of Queensland were cancelled in Australia. The institutions announced that the drug against COVID-19, which showed promising results during its first phase of clinical trials, will not move to the second and third phase because it interferes with HIV testing. Despite ruling out the possibility that their vaccine could cause HIV, the scientists decided to stop the research after consulting the Australian government, because in the case of a mass inoculation of the population, the implications of the possibility of false positive HIV will be too serious, and significant changes to the current testing procedures will be required to avoid them. An Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, said on Friday his government will not rush approval of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine because he wants Australians to have confidence in the product.
On the issue of the accreditation approval of vaccines in Australia, we'll do that on Australian rules, with Australian officials and on the Australian timetable. Australia has one of the highest rates of vaccination in the world. The reason for that is we take these issues incredibly seriously, and we have the best people in the world making those decisions to protect the safety of Australians. We want to ensure that Australians, and I think all of us feel very strongly this way, have full confidence, absolute full confidence, that when it gets the tick, they can get the jab.
And calls grew Friday for tougher lockdown measures soon in Germany, as the country's disease control center reported record daily increases in both coronavirus cases and fatalities. The Robert Koch Institute said the country's 16 states reported nearly 30,000 new COVID-19 cases, breaking the previous daily record of more than 23,000 cases reported the day before. Germany reported nearly 600 fatalities in the last 24 hours, also setting a daily record of death. Under current restrictions implemented at the beginning of November as numbers were growing exponentially, restaurants, bar, leisure and sport facilities have been closed and hotels closed to tourists, but schools and non-essential shops remain open. German Health Minister Jens Spahn indicated Friday that tougher measures were underway.
We have to shut down the country for the next few weeks. Some had always said between Christmas and New Year, but that is clearly too little. Then it will have no effect at all. We are in a really dangerous situation, dangerous as never before. Consistently shutting down public life and significantly reducing numbers now, and then moving into an immunization strategy, seems to me to be a smart, prudent and efficient strategy. If the two vaccines, BioNTech and Moderna, are approved, depending on the success of the production, we will have 11, 12, maybe 15 to 17 million doses of vaccine in the first quarter in Germany.
Switzerland announced Friday that all shops, bars and restaurants must close from 7 p.m. as it struggles to tame a resurgence in the coronavirus pandemic. The new rules apply from Saturday and will last until January 22nd, with a closing time extension until 1 a.m. on the nights of December 24th and 31st. The country has some of the worst per capita infection rates in Europe, and with those numbers back on the rise, the government fears the situation could get completely out of control over Christmas. To this date, Switzerland registers nearly 370,000 COVID-19 cases and over 5,800 fatalities. European Union leaders on Friday agreed an ambitious target for cutting greenhouse gas emissions after unlocking the bloc's landmark budget and coronavirus recovery fund at the Marathon Summit.
Of course, the launch of Next Generation EU is also a key component of our climate ambition. Now that we have secured the funding, we have the means for our actions. And that is why I'm delighted that, together with the German presidency, we were able today to reach an agreement on the proposal for a new EU climate target. We will reduce emissions by at least 55% by 2030. And today's agreement puts us on a clear path towards climate neutrality in 2050. It gives certainty to investors, to businesses, to public authorities, and to citizens. It future-proofs our union. All EU countries should benefit from the transition with economic growth, a cleaner environment and healthier citizens. The European Green Deal will be our growth strategy. On the coronavirus pandemic, right now the European Union is working full speed to review the safety of vaccines and make them available. We aim to authorize the BioNTech-Pfizer vaccine by the end of the year, subject to EMA's opinion. EMA's opinion on the Moderna vaccine should become before mid-January, and a rolling review of data for AstraZeneca, Oxford and Johnson & Johnson vaccines is ongoing. But it's vaccination and not vaccines that saves lives. I called on all the member states to finalize their preparations for the start of vaccination. We stand ready to support.
In India, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare reported more than 29,000 new cases of COVID-19. The governmental body reported that during the last 24 hours, 414 fatalities were also reported. As a result of this contagious disease, this last data raised the total number of cases of contagion to 9,796,769 inhabitants infected, and the number of fatalities to 142,186. And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. This Friday, China's foreign ministry strongly criticized the U.S. abuse of national security to repress Chinese enterprises without evidence.
As is known to all, Chinese companies have kept a very good record with regard to network security, especially Huawei, which has put up more than 1,500 networks in more than 170 countries and regions, and no incidents like Snowden and WikiLeaks have ever occurred. Neither were any cyber surveillances like the Prism Gate, Formula Organization, and Echelon system. Up till now, no country, including the United States, has ever come out with any evidence to show Huawei's products have backdoors, although we have asked time and again for evidence. Huawei declared to the world a long time ago that it is willing to sign a no backdoor agreement and to set up a cybersecurity assessment center in any country. Why, then, the United States has refused to make a positive response? Suppressing given Chinese companies by abusing state power without giving any evidence is exactly the negation to the market economy principle the United States has always professed to protect. It has also exposed the hypocritical cloak worn by the United States in the so-called fair competition. We, once again, urge the United States to stop overgeneralizing the concept of national security, stop its wanton suppression of given Chinese companies, and truly provide a fair, just, and non-discriminatory environment for the normal cooperation among countries.
On Friday, China's National Health Commission reported 15 new COVID-19 cases across the mainland. In the last 24 hours, 6 local and 9 imported. For the 6 locally transmitted cases, 4 were reported in the southwest China's Sichuan province, and 2 were reported in northeast China's Heilongjiang province. In the last 24 hours, 8 patients have recovered from the virus, and 218 were discharged from medical observation. China so far registers more than 86,000 cases of infections and over 4,600 fatalities. Nearly 82,000 patients have recovered from the disease. Currently, there are 292 active COVID-19 cases, including 5 in severe conditions. On Friday, Vietnam and Britain finalized a free trade agreement, the second deal London has reached in Southeast Asia in many days while deadlock continues over post-Brexit European Union arrangements. The deal with Vietnam comes into force January 1, 2021, and will be Britain's third following Thursday's pact with Singapore and October's first post-Brexit trade deal with Japan. Vietnam stands to the benefit from tariff savings of over $150.6 million on its exports, while British exports will be £36 million better off, with 99% of tariffs eliminated once the agreement is fully implemented. British International Trade Secretary Liz Truss and Vietnam's Trade Minister Tran Tuan Anh finalized the deal, which basically locks in the benefits of London's existing trading relationship with Vietnam under an European Union deal.
Both Vietnam and the UK will continue to give each other tariff preference and favorable conditions in approaching markets on the basis of the EVFTA that Vietnam signed with the EU, with adjustments in accordance with practical relations of both sides. Investors and businesses from the UK, as well as its Vietnam partners, will have big opportunities in taking part in the process of restructuring and the shift of an investment wave to Vietnam to form new supply chains with the sustainable participation of the UK business and partner organizations of Vietnam.
And the CPTPP is important for the UK, first of all, because it would give us access, deep access, to a £9 trillion market, but also because it helps the UK diversify its supply chains more broadly and makes us more resilient.
And Turkey on Friday described as BZ and unlawful an EU move to draft up a list of Turkish targets for sanctions in response to Ankara's drilling activities in the Mediterranean. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan insisted on seeking solutions through dialogue and cooperation. Turkey on Friday described as BZ and unlawful an EU move to draw up a list of targets and sanctions in response to Ankara's drilling activities.
We have deep-rooted political and economic relations with both the USA and the EU, which neither of them can ever disregard or risk losing. Sanctions agendas imposed due to political goals and on an irrational basis are harmful for all sides and do not bring any benefit or profit. Despite everything, I believe that concrete steps on these issues will be taken with common sense and in the light of mutual benefits, considering the strength of our potentials. We believe we do not have any problem that cannot be resolved through dialogue and cooperation. Our doors are wide open to all investors in the same manner and will continue to remain so.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also, if you feel so inclined, please follow us in social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.